Thank you, Lauren, I think. Many years ago, my dad, who, by the way, is known to his grandchildren as Dodo, Dodo and I used to play in a lot of father-son tennis tournaments. And early on, when he was the better player, he would put me in the alley and hit all the balls. And then later, when the roles were reversed, I put him in the alley and hit all the balls. Because I want to make one thing clear. The goal of these matches was not to shore up any father-son bonds or to find out how the other father-son team was doing, how their day was going. There was only one goal, and that was to win. After 25 years of not playing, I recently have begun playing tennis with Daddy and some of his buddies. And the first time out, a couple of months ago, we were paired against Merritt Pound. And Merritt's a fine player. He's former captain of Georgia's tennis team, but Merritt's now 77, has an artificial hip and knee, and I think a Dacron aorta. and he's not as mobile as he once was. And his partner was Bert Richmond. Bert's also a heck of a player. He's won tournaments in his age group, but that's the 80 and overs. And after a brief warm-up, those of you who played tennis with Daddy know you're only allowed a 3-minute warm-up. He pulled me aside and whispered, "Merritt and Bert are both weaker on the forehand." and I said, "Well, who cares?" He said, "I do. I like to win every point." Welcome to the world of Dan Magill, where winning isn't just the preferred thing, it's the only thing. I'm often asked by people who've read his articles in the paper about his memory. How can he remember all those facts? And if you think about it, most of them happened so long ago that they can't be disputed or corroborated. Such as his claim to be the first baby born at Athens General Hospital. If he said it's true, I'm sure it is, but I also know there are no records at the hospital to confirm that claim. Despite his ostensible and I hope somewhat tongue-in-cheek disdain for formal education, he claims to be the only person ever to graduate from the University of Georgia without buying a book, attributing what meager success that he had to the fact that he sat next to some guy named A+ Macy and had good peripheral vision. But despite that disdain, he, as we all know, is actually quite bright. I remember on family vacation trips, we would play word games, and we'd go around the car and have to name a word that ended in ICE or OISE, porpoise, or porpoise, as he would say. And he always won those games. Of course, he picked the game and made up the rules. Although he has many strengths which have been enumerated, his unparalleled competitiveness, his amazing memory, particularly his wit, there are a few areas where he comes up a tad short. First of all, he has no interest in money. He doesn't know what it is, where it comes from. He has a similar disregard, as been mentioned, for clothes. He's usually, dressed in a warm-up suit or worse, pajamas. He looks pretty good tonight. Mother must have dressed him. But that unconcern for material things makes it easy to shop for him at Christmas. My standard gift to him for years has been a dozen oatmeal cookies and a case of beer. Another attribute that he doesn't possess is patience. Hardly a day goes by that he doesn't call me up, usually before he goes to bed at night, which is early and earlier these days. And the conversation will go like this. He'll say, "How are you doing?" "Fine." "Did you read my article in the paper?" "Yes." "What did you like about it?" "I don't remember." "Well, I say goodbye." "I say goodbye to you." And that's it. I can make the conversation even shorter by bringing up a topic that I'm interested in. But all kidding aside, Daddy still has more energy than all the rest of us Magills put together. He's still the model that we strive to emulate. He's been a great trip for all of us, and we hope there are many years left on the journey. Thank you.
Well, first off, happy birthday, Coach. Number 90, that's absolutely amazing. I'd start off by saying that, I grew up in North Carolina, and to be honest, I did not know much about the University of Georgia. I knew that, I wanted to play high-level college tennis, and I knew that Georgia was, one of the best programs out there. So on my recruiting trip, I come here, Coach is showing me around, the guy showed me downtown, and, had a good time and whatnot. But I remember being at the courts, and Coach Diaz introduced me to Dan Magill. Now, I'd only heard of him. Obviously, he's an absolute legend, so I knew who he was. It was the first time I met him, and Coach says, "John, you and Dan Magill go spend a little time together." So sure enough, Coach takes me into the Tennis Hall of Fame, and I'm thinking, Coach Diaz is pulling out all the stops to get me to come to this school. Getting the legend of college tennis, the University of Georgia legend, spend all this time with me. Who knows, probably an hour at the College Tennis Hall of Fame. And, sure enough, I thought, wow, this is it's pretty special of Coach Diaz, of Coach Magill to spend this time with me, and this is obviously a special place. So, that was probably the main reason I came to this school, because I just knew there was something special about this place and something special about this guy right here. And but little did I know that ever since that infamous tour, I've had about 100 since then. So, and I'm sure I'll get one tomorrow too. So, I also remember one time, I forget it was a big match. It was SEC's was here in Athens, and I'm playing on court 1, and Coach Magill was sitting up on top of the College Tennis Hall of Fame, and I'm trying to serve out my match. I'm up 5-4 in the third. It's a big match. We need the point. I'm toweling off at the end, and Coach leans over. He goes, "John," he had a nickname for my serve. He goes, "Give him to Big Bertha." So I look up. I go, "All right, Coach, I'll get it to you." And sure enough, I go up, match point. I hit Big Bertha. I hit an ace, and I think that clinched the match for us and put us into the SEC finals. So I specifically remember that. But honestly, I really don't think you realize how much of impact you've had on my life, our family's life. Just like, many before us, our Cocker Spaniel is named Magill. So I think it's about number 5 or so, fifth dog that's been named that. So really, honestly, I just want to say thank you, Coach, for everything. When I did play that crazy match at Wimbledon, my phone was ringing off the hook. The very first person I called after I finally won 3 days later was Coach Dan Magill. So I want to say thank you, Coach, and happy birthday. Appreciate everything.
My name is Dan Magill, and I'm very sorry I can't be out here with you today, but I am now 90 years old and hardly know whether I'm coming or going. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce the 7 new members of the National Collegiate Men's Tennis Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, one of them can't be here. Simon Asplin, who played at Pepperdine, was a 4-time All-American there in the 1990s. Can't be here because he is in Paris for the French Open. But we do have here Scott Davis of Stanford, Marcel Freeman of UCLA, Jim Grab of Stanford, Gene Mayer of Stanford, Jonathan Stark of Stanford, and Coach Tim Cass of the University of New Mexico. And they will be presented certificates and also the green master's type jacket that I have on. We started giving these green master's type jackets about 5 years ago, and they have proved to be very popular. My cap is off to these boys or young men, or old men, some of them, and you'll get one of these caps too.